Hey, welcome back to 396 Guitars. We are working on an Ibanez JEM today, and this thing screams the 80s. Let's get to work. Remember, if you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe, share even if you want to. Wawa. One of my, let's say, co-workers picked this guitar up, and it is pretty cool. Pretty cool. Not my color choice, but I like it because it screams the 80s. And yeah, these things were really popular then. This is a Japan JEM. Don't ask me what JEM means, but we all know Steve Vai was a pretty prominent user of this type of guitar. I'm sure his had quite a few more upgrades, but pretty neat. Point of interest, the last 4 frets are scalloped, dug out. Customer concern, he did the cleanup on it, so we're not doing any of that. We're really concentrating on, first we're going to check the electronics and the mechanics and stuff like that. There are some marks on the frets lower in the scale, starting about the 7th fret. So whoever it was did a lot of playing on it, but they're not deep enough to get in a twist over. He started off the conversation with me. I want you to crown all my frets. Well, that I'm gonna listen, but disregard that. And what I told him was, he said it was buzzing up here when he was bending a note or whatever. And he wants his action low, 4/64 and 3/64. It could happen. It may happen. It may not. First and foremost, we're going to go over just tightening everything up. I don't think this was one of their high-end guitars. It probably wasn't. It doesn't matter. Every guitar deserves to play as well as it can play. And that's what our function is today. So what we're going to do is string it, set it up, and try to set his action correctly. And I'm going to put, he wants to put these on, but I don't want to string it up and experiment with those. We're just going to throw a set of these on 9s. And then see where everything lands. Just adjusting the truss rod is going to be a trick because it's kind of an oddball size. I believe it to be quarter or 7 millimeter. But yeah, the wrench that they gave us, and my wrench is too long. This wrench doesn't fit. So a 9/32 actually grabs it and we'll turn it. And I did check it. It does work. First things first. I'm going to lock up our Floyd Rose type. Does it actually say Floyd Rose? Licensed under Floyd Rose patents. It's not a Floyd Rose, it is licensed by Floyd Rose. I'm just getting it up so it's off the deck down. It was falling all the way down in there, and that's just what they do. I took out the string bar, and it seems like the screws were a little bit, we'll see if they tighten up. If they don't, we're going to have to fill those holes and re-drill them. But we'll get there. First things first, I checked the neck screws, the bolts. They seem fine. Yeah, these are all a little bit loose. We'll just snug them up because we can, and I remember to do it. I want to check the electronics. He said the electronics are working. He said he had it hooked up and playing, but he didn't like the way it was playing. I am going to assume that it was not set up properly, because I think this guitar can probably play at the action that he wants it to. We will learn all of this together. We will find out. Okay, so it splits the coil in the fourth position, so it's middle and only that one's off. And it seems like the tone works on it too. So it seems like the electronics are working correctly. It does split the coil. Just basic, probably a Fender type 5-way switch in there, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was not quite as good. Like I said, I think this was their middle of the road entry level guitar, but we'll see. It seems pretty hot. Something here. Claw's not even. He said it was really, 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 really dirty when he got it. The neck plate is actually pretty rusted and corroded. I checked these. I think I did. Yes, they're tight. So I don't see anything really wrong, glaringly wrong with it at this juncture. It's pretty. Seems pretty stout. Well, I got some gappage, but not enough to get in a twist over. My favorite saying, not enough to get in a twist over. I don't think that'll be an issue. First things first, I think we're gonna string it, and I want to do a setup on it so I know where I'm beginning. He said he was getting buzzing when he was bending a note, so that tells me that he had it strung up and didn't like what was happening and de-strung it and brought it to me and said, okay, go ahead and crown my frets. Well, I'm going to listen to him, but I'm going to ignore it at the same time. I want to know where we're starting first. Make sure everything works and it sets up properly. So, that being said, stand by while I get some strings out, and I'm going to illustrate how this type of saddle assembly works. For those of you that don't know, for those of you that you do, come along for the ride anyway. Stand by. So I have seen hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these guitars in my career, and it's always a nightmare when somebody brings it in and tried to string it themselves, because if you've never done it, it's a little tricky. So the main size for everything on this guitar is 3mm. 3mm back here, 3mm here, 3mm. I lied. It's a different size there. Usually the string height adjustment here is 3. It looks like it's less. Why would it be less? Yep, sure enough is. It looks like it's a 2.5. Modern ones, 3mm, 3mm, 3mm. But what you do is you loosen the saddle lock, the string lock right here. Okay? Get a little bit better in the picture just for this portion. Right here, you loosen it and it pulls that back. The ball end of the string, right? Snip it off. Get all the above the windings and snip off the ball. That will now go down into that block, and you have to snug it up. And when I say snug it, it needs to be pretty tight, because the only thing that holds it in there is pressure, because we just got rid of the ball. Now, don't over tighten it. A good tug will usually tell you it's good. I like to take, this has a locking nut on it. I like to take all the locks off. It just facilitates fishing the string through there easier, and you put these on afterwards. All right, so try to center it in the block as best you can. You'll know if it's not. You'll go back to it. Same rule applies. The string is going to live here. You can come back down now. Let me pull back. There's our saddle block, bridge, saddle assembly. String already is living here. It's going to live here. Same rule applies. You go measure to the next peg and bend it. First wrap above the hole, every other wrap below it. Pull your excess out of the way. Get it up to where it's got tension on it. You're not tuning yet. And leave a little extra because you just don't know. If you have to take it off, you're going to thank me for having that little piece of extra on there. I'm going to show you one more, and then I'm going to do the rest of them off camera and come back. So the ball end, you snip it off close, get past all the windings, and you snip the ball off. Go to the A position, loosen it off a turn or two, slide your string in, center it as much as you can, and then snug up your saddle block. Give it a tug. String's going to live here. Go to the next peg, put a bend in it. And that, if you exercise that rule of thumb, you should end up with one wrap above the string hole and every other wrap below it. And that will lock your string onto the tuning machine. Pull your excess up out of the way. So all we're doing is putting tension. We're not trying to tune it yet. Leave a little extra, snip it off. That way you don't stab yourself. Okay, so I'm going to put the rest of the strings on. We'll be right back. And then we're going to go to a regular setup just with these. We're going to sacrifice this set of strings just so I know where I'm starting. You follow? Stand by. So we have the strings on, we have the tension up, probably over tensioned it, or there isn't enough spring tension in the back. Our block will now come out easily, so the strings are actually holding up the bridge. Let's tune it up and see where we're at. Well, I can tell already we don't have nearly enough spring tension back here. Because we're pulling up even farther, so we're going to have to drive those screws in quite a bit in the back. And that's always the fun of a Floyd Rose system or even a Fender system. You can see right there how much that bridge is lifting up. That should be level with the body down in the cavity. So I am just going to drive these in quite a bit. I'm going to start with 3 turns on each one, and I don't think that's even going to approach enough. We have already run out of thread, and we're getting to the non-threaded part of the bolt. So we should be able to tune. Oh hell, it still wants to go up. not even close. Not even close. I don't think we have enough spring tension. I think we may have to add some springs to it, or reconfigure these at the very least, because they have them in that triangle, and I don't agree with that. I should have changed it right from the get-go. It's not even coming close to giving us any relief. Well, we're going in the right direction, but we're not going to get enough. I am sure of it. Just as sure as God made little green apples. Now, this process can take quite a long time, and this is why I wanted to do this part first, because we're still lifting off of there quite a bit. We need to have that down there. Yeah, one of my strings just came loose. We need to have it down there around that position. It's so far off. I think we may have gotten closer. Oh yeah, that's looking much better. That is looking much better. Now we can start to think maybe we're going to be able to, I think we might have to pull out the screws a little bit now. Maybe not. Levelness, that's where we want to be. This is kind of a ramp version of it. The more modern ones, you just sight down right there and you can see where the Floyd Rose is level, but overall the saddles are level, and that's what you got to be looking at, because it has enough room to go down and up. It has to have that room to be able to dive and be stable. It has to have a place where you want to dive it and flatten out your note, bend it, and then let it go. It has to have a place to go and then come back to equilibrium. And it's almost there now. I'm going to pause briefly while I let this settle and let the springs and the strings kind of equalize, and then I'll be back. It's going to be off camera about 20 minutes. I want to let it settle, and then we'll continue. Stand by. So my way of doing this is, like I said, get it all strung up, get your saddles, your floating bridge, so it's at least level with the body. And this one's a little tricky because it's got kind of an odd shaped bridge on it. So you're looking at the saddles. You want the saddles to be level with the body, and that gives it the ability to not only go flat, but you have room to go up and down. And that's what floating means. And what are we trying to achieve? Equilibrium. And we have achieved it, because after diving up and down, when you let go, the strings and the springs should find equilibrium. They should fall right back in there, and it should stay in tune. And once you achieve that, you're golden. You can proceed. Now, when I say proceed, now we can go ahead and do our setup. We can actually, this is the first time I'm going to be able to take measurements on this guitar. Oh wow, really narrow neck. Schnikes, is it narrow? There we go. We don't need that in there. All of the same rules apply. 7th fret, way too straight, way too tight, way too straight. And if he's going to achieve 4/64 and 3/64 on his string height, his action, yeah, we're going to have to open that up slightly. What does it look like? It actually looks dead bone straight. Probably close to a back bow. I don't like that. So we got to get in here and loosen it. To the left and loosen it up a little bit and then take another measurement. Because we're probably going to have to do more than one. I loosened it about a half of a turn. We were really, really tight. I mean, can't achieve any kind of relief when the feeler gauge is stuck. And that got it. Can't guess at that. You have to measure it. You can't hold it here and put your pinky and tap it in the middle of the neck. That doesn't tell you anything. I'm out of there, you. You can tell we don't have the right tool. The tool that came with it does not fit. I had to find the right socket for it. Of course, tuning is now going to be gone because we loosened it. So it should be flat. It is. At this juncture, when you're doing your setup, you want to keep the proper string tension on the neck. For obvious reasons, because now we just set the neck relief, so yeah, we're going to need to keep that tension on there. That's what keeps the neck relief where it's supposed to be, string tension. Next, we can actually check our string height and see where we're at. We are right at 4/64 and right at 3. So he must have been much, much, much closer, because we put relief into the neck, which effectively will give you a higher string action, string height, when you measure it at the 12th fret. So being as straight as it was and in a back bow, it must have been maybe 3 and 2. Well, of course it was buzzing. I'll be surprised if it doesn't buzz this low, because that's low. I wouldn't set it there. I would do 5/64 and 4/64. But the customer's always right, sort of. And his buzzing may not have been on the fret at all. It could have been that his pickups are so damn close to the strings that they're banging. They're actually touching right there. I can see a mark. So that's the next thing. Make sure we're not. Oh, I love it. The only one that has a Phillips head is the middle one. These are so close. They're literally banging. They're literally banging. They're touching. almost touching. The vibration of the string going around would cause it to touch on those. Little flathead. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, okay. Listen to your customer. I want crown my frets. Well, why? Crowning isn't going to cause buzzing. Crowning the fret is just putting the finish on your fret. Literally crowning it, bringing it up to a point. So, yeah, that's why I kind of disagreed with his ask until I did this part of it. And my instinct tells me that once I get this all set up, this guitar is going to play like it's supposed to play. That's good. That's good. It's still a little tight, but it's close. And all of these measurements have to work with each other. You start with the neck relief, and then you can check your string height. And once all of this is done, to your pickup height, we're going to check our intonation. But on these, usually the intonation is dead on. Perfect. Too far away, too close. That one's perfect. This one's too close. This one has to come up. Like that. I like that. One more double check. Yeah. Oh yeah. I can live with that. I can live with that. Now, let's make sure we haven't gone haywire here. Just how stable are we? Now remember, our strings are still stretching, so you have to take this with a grain of salt. But let go, and it should come back to tune, to pitch. Dead on, dead on, dead on. So far, so good. All of them were a 30-second. It's not even causing it to come off of green. Where's our intonation? Good. Ooh, too sharp. Yeah, too sharp. Too sharp. Yeah, I'm wondering if this didn't seat properly. I'm wondering if we didn't seat properly. We may have to go through and do an intonation set on this. Let's see where the rest of them are. Sharp. Sharp. Way sharp. Way sharp. Slightly sharp. So I am not going to do that on the video. That adjustment is done right here. I have to loosen that. That means if you're sharp, the distance between this saddle round and the nut, where the string initially hits the locking nut, is too close. We have to back that up. We have to get it to go farther back. And on these, it's not fun because the adjustment screw is literally right in the middle of where the string is. So you have to loosen the string all the way off, loosen it, push it back, tighten it, and then double check it. Tune it all back up, and it will literally take me an hour probably just to set the intonation. So do we have any buzzing? Nope. So his problem is fixed. The only thing I did not check, and I should have, is why, oh wonder, Wanda. Nope, it can only sit. They're tightened from the back. Yeah, sorry about that, folks. I'm just checking this out. Yeah, it's just pulled up tight, and that's what it is. The measurement at the first fret is what the measurement is. There is no changing that. Intonation, no problem. I'll fix that. I will fix that, but it is going to take me some time, and I'm not going to do it on the video. I want to double check. So I don't like locking nuts. I've never liked them. String action at the first fret action is right at 20 thousandths. I think that's too close, but it's acceptable. I would like to see 22, but I can live with that. It's not. It's not buzzing open, and that's where you get first fret problems. Intonation is going to be an issue. Yeah, we're going to get after it, but everything else seems to be, yeah, pretty cool. It is tuning, it's got tuning stability. Yeah, in fact, it is time to just strum a few chords and show you by ear. I'm looking at a tuner, of course, but see if I can just get a little bit in the video here with this, do a couple of notes, just a couple of cowboy chords, just to show you what I mean. Stability is, you know, you just strum a chord. It should come right back into tune. Every time that you dive a little bit, it should come right back into tune. And stay there. It should be stable. And your ear can hear that. I'm sure the camera microphone is picking that up. And that, so they say, is that. That's part one of this. I am going to do the intonation off camera, as I said, because it's tricky. I will get the intonation set, and in the next video, we're going to restring it and do this whole process again and show on one of them how to do the intonation. It's a little tricky. It's fun, but we'll get it done. Blackjack with 396 guitars. We'll talk soon. Screamin' 80s Ibanez.